Close the door, okay? Hi. Okay. Salam alaikum, brothers, sisters, everyone that decided to join me today. I wanted to start a video series talking about what it's like to be a white woman living in the West that is a Muslim. So I think what I'll start out by talking about is why I decided to become a Muslim, because that seems to be one of the questions I hear the most. They ask me why I reverted to becoming a Muslim. So let me just talk about that. For myself, I have always been very connected to God. I've always been a Christian my whole life. I did not come from a particularly religious family, but I always seemed to have that connection and that interest and that drive to get to know God, to have a better relationship, to have an understanding, to be educated in the Word of God. And so for myself, I began to explore different types of religions that were closely related to Christianity for quite some time. I explored the Mormon faith. I explored a little bit of Buddhism. I explored Baha'i and Catholicism and different forms of Christianity, like Southern Baptist, Anglican, can't think of the rest offhand, but there's quite a few. And I used to travel around to different places, different churches, different temples, to hear sermons, to hear, the Word of God, and to be around other people that believed in the Lord and to hear Scripture. Well, quite a few years ago, I met someone when I was riding on the bus, and he was from Saudi Arabia. And he was very nice. He tried to talk to me a little bit about the Quran. I had no idea what that was. He gave me a small gift, and every time I looked at it, for years to come, I remembered him, and I remembered him telling me a few things about the Quran. That was my first experience with anyone that was a believer through Islam. Anyway, quite a few years passed, and one day I was curious, and I thought, well, I really want to know what's in the Quran, because that is a holy book. There are millions and millions of people that follow the religion, follow the faith. It would be ridiculous of me not to explore that. It would just be ignorant. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go and see if I can find a Quran. So I went to the bookstore, and I asked them, I said, do you have a Quran? And they said, yes. Toward the back in the religious section. So I went back and I bought this beautiful Quran. It actually looked like the Bible. It was black, beautiful leather. It said Quran on the front in Arabic and in English in gold lettering. I thought, this is really nice. And so I took it home, and I kind of expected it to be like the Bible. Since it was the Word of God and it looked like the Bible, the one that I purchased. Anyway, I put it away, and I should backtrack a little bit, I guess. There was actually a second encounter with somebody from Islam that talked to me about the Quran before I purchased one. And I met him on the internet quite a long time ago. when web TV was out there and there wasn't a computer in every home and people just didn't even have hardly any cell phones. Yeah, no, there weren't any, I think. I don't know, maybe the giant ones that went in your car with the giant batteries, I don't know. But I was really interested in information technology at the time, and so I ended up being one of the first people on the internet, and he happened to be one of the first people on the internet too. So he met me through the internet, and we started talking. I was talking on my web TV and he was talking on whatever computer he had, and he was also from Saudi Arabia, and he said that he was a prince. He was a prince of Saudi Arabia, and it was interesting. He started talking to me about the Quran as well, but at that time I just really didn't understand it either. I didn't know that I even wanted to explore it, and he asked me if I would marry him, and I said no. I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to the way Islam worked, and if a man is interested in a woman and he wants to get to know her better, he likes her, he asks her to marry him so that everything stays halal and they're not having a friendship outside of a godly way. Well, of course he didn't talk to me again after that, ever. But it is an interesting story, and it's something that I like to remember from time to time. Anyway, back to my book. So I purchased the book, and that was my third exposure to Quran, and I started to read some of it, and I really felt like I was shocked. I was shocked because it didn't read like the Bible. The wording was different, the way people expressed themselves through the Quran was different. I didn't know what to think of it, honestly. So I put it away again for quite some time, actually. I think it was a couple of years. It was in my garage in a box. So later on I began to study religion again, and I just felt like I really wanted to know more and more about it, and I wanted to actually give myself another try on reading the Quran and understanding it from a different perspective, because it was from the opposite end of the planet, written by, the original people out there, and it was said to be unaltered, which is not the case with the Bible. We all know that the Bible's been written and rewritten by different scribes, different monks, different religions, things taken out of the Bible that people didn't want the public to know, things added to the Bible so that the churches could manipulate people for profit and things like that. But there is still a lot of truth in the Bible. And most of the stories in the Bible are the same as the ones in the Quran. The prophets are the same. There are minor differences in the story, but Quran hasn't been altered. So anyway, I started to read the Quran. I started to explore it. My curiosity got piqued, and I started to have a passion for learning more about Quran. And I also wanted to know about the way they prayed and why they prayed 5 times a day and things like that. And so I started doing my own research. I went online a lot. I started listening to different muftis speak. I listened to different lectures. I read every article I could find. I would listen to lectures for hours. I would watch all kinds of YouTube videos on what Islam was, what it was like to be a Muslim woman, what marriage meant, how you prayed, what are the 5 pillars, all of that stuff. And I did that for months and months. And the first time I heard the Quran, I just was so peaceful and relaxed and in wonder and awe and amazement. And it was just so beautiful. It just really was. And that really, I think that was the turning point for me. I wanted to listen to more of it, and I wanted to understand more of it, and I wanted to go to mosque, and I wanted to pray at mosque, but I didn't know how to do that. I tried to get a hold of whyislam.org, and they sent me some information, some brochures, and a free Quran. Excuse me. I tried to get a hold of the imam or somebody, a woman that was somehow involved with the mosque in my area, so that I could find out how to go there, how to pray there, but no one ever answered me. And so then one day I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna be brave. I'm going to dress as appropriately as I can think of to do, and I'm gonna go. And I wore something that now if I wore to mosque I would probably be embarrassed about, but it wasn't too bad. But what I wore was a scarf that I had from my closet. So I covered my hair as best I could. I didn't know how to put a hijab on properly. I wore all black. I had stockings on, black shoes, a black skirt that didn't cover my legs. I had a black coat on, and underneath I had a black sweater. And so I went to mosque by myself, uninvited, not knowing what I was doing. And so then when I got there, I wasn't sure how to get in or which section to go in, but I knew that the men were separate from the women and they had a different entrance, and I was really worried about going through the men's entrance on accident. And so I was looking around and I didn't know how to get in, and one of the brothers noticed me, and I said to him, I'm looking for the women's entrance, and he pointed to a door in the back, and so I went in. But there were quite a few flights of stairs, and I didn't know which floor the women's prayer area was. So I was wandering around on the stairwell, and I saw him looking through one of the windows. I think it was 2, maybe 3 stories up, and he helped me find the women's area. And so I went, I took off my shoes, and I just went in there and I started praying with everybody else. I was just watching what they were doing and imitating them as best I could. And that was my first experience at mosque, and it was really great. Minus a little bit of anxiety and nerves, because I knew I didn't know what I was doing, and probably everyone that looked at me knew that too. But they were all really great. They hovered around me afterwards, and they welcomed me, and they helped me understand, and they encouraged me to come back. And I made a great friend. Her name was Rakaya, and she kind of took me under her wing and, you know, kind of helped me and was there for me if I needed anything. I could text her or call her, and I really appreciated that. And later I started some Arabic Quran classes at mosque downstairs, and I met another sister who became a friend of mine. Unfortunately, the classes didn't last very long, so I really only got to go a few times, but they've started back up again, and I intend to go back over there on a regular basis. They're on Saturdays now, in the evening after Isha. And so then I was going to mosque every now and then, and I was studying. I kept studying, kept thinking about it, and then I started to do a little research on the Shahada, which is like the oath and prayer type of thing that you say with someone. It could be a brother, it could be imam, or, you know, somebody that's already within Islam. You say the Shahada with them, and the Shahada is just basically making the statement that Allah is the one and only God, and you accept him as God, and you become Muslim. And so I wanted to do that, and once again I ran into a bit of a roadblock. I couldn't get a hold of imam, and I didn't know how to go ahead and have that done. So I was really anxious to do it. I didn't want to wait, but I did wait a couple of weeks, and then finally I thought, well, you know, I just want to do this. I want to become Muslim. So I found out that I could do it online, and that's what I did. A brother online did the Shahada with me, and I became Muslim that day. And I've been Muslim ever since. And sometimes I fall away from my faith a little bit, but then I catch myself, you know, just like everybody else in any other faith. You know, sometimes you feel closer than you do at other times. Sometimes you study more than you do at other times. Same with being Muslim. So I'm continuing to learn, continuing to pray and be as good a Muslim as I could be, to try to represent my faith and my gender and just everything, show God through myself, my actions, my words, my deeds, hoping that other people can recognize that and feel safe and calm, and maybe even curious to know more about the Muslim faith. I continue to grow in the faith. I would like to start a women's Quran study group in my home. If I can round up a few sisters, I would like to do that once or twice a month. I enjoy being a Muslim. It's a little bit harder to be Muslim in the West than it is in other areas of the world, because I'm in America and it's not a Muslim country, but we do have little pockets of Muslim areas, just like for every other faith in the country. There's little pockets of Muslims, bigger pockets of Christians, pockets of Catholics, Baha'i, Jewish, Buddhist, all the different faiths, you know. This is a predominantly Christian country. So, and because of politics and things like that, and confusion about what it actually is to be with Islam, religion versus culture and all of that type of thing, there is some phobia against it. So it's very difficult for me to be able to just go out in public and be covered like this, because it evokes fear out of ignorance, and that's unfortunate. It was really unfortunate, but some people do recognize it for what it is that I'm a religious person and I've devoted myself to God, and so I do get a lot of respect and a lot of kindness and a lot of gentleness from certain people in this country as well. So it's kind of a mix. So I just wanted to share my story about why I became Muslim. And I've been Muslim for quite a few years now, and I would prefer to be able to wear niqab, and this is called niqab, where you're fully covered. You know, I even prefer to put the veil over my eyes if I can, but unfortunately from the area that I'm living in, I just really can't do that safely or comfortably, but I can wear a colored hijab, so I do. So when I go out, I make sure that I'm modestly dressed and that I have a hijab on, so none of my hair is showing. When I go to a Muslim country like Turkey, I can dress the way I want to dress and be amongst other Muslim women and just be really comfortable and happy and fit right in, which is really nice. So anyway, I just wanted to share my story, and I'm going to continue to make videos talking about what it's like to be a Muslim woman in the West. And so I hope that you subscribe so you can listen more and learn more. And these are all, you know, my own experiences, my own opinions, my own life path. So I hope that it's been informative to you. I hope that you've enjoyed being here, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.